Hey, hey, hey. Everybody ready? You not ready? We gonna get ready though. We on CP time.
Chicka chicka. Okay. Slim shade.
Mic check, mic check.
1 2 1 2.
It's very.
Yeah, it's honestly, do we even need
Muy
mics?
fuerte.
Might not even need mics.
Well, we're using the mics for the camera. I hope this is not on mine.
Can you film it?
Yeah, everybody come to the at least the first or second row.
It's family. Come on, come closer, please. All 12 of us.
Yeah, I love how everybody sat all the way to the front row.
This dress is so cute.
Just flip that switch up.
Your dress is pretty too, Damon.
Let's see.
Did you flip it on?
It's over here.
There, it's on now.
That's it. Thank you. Thank you.
And I did get confirmation that we have to talk into the mic for the virtual people that are watching.
Hi, everybody at home.
Yeah, hello.
Hi, everybody out there in TV land.
So I'm super excited for this panel and to be moderating it because it's near and dear to my heart, obviously. The Green Book hotels and the Black travel experience, something that's super important to me specifically. But I wanted to start off, and then she has a green book that she's going to pass around for everyone to see, the Negro Traveler's Guide, right? That was so necessary at a time where we couldn't stay just anywhere. And so before we jump into everything, I want everyone specifically to introduce themselves and then what they are actually working on, what you actually do. So we'll start with Theo.
Hello, everybody. Okay, I want everybody to, feel comfortable. We like to talk back. We like to, connect with you guys. My name is Theo Edwards-Butler. I am originally from Louisville, Kentucky, currently living in Birmingham, Alabama. I am the founder and CEO of the Modern Green Book, which is super exciting to me. It's something I started back in 2020 once I graduated college. And it's just been growing ever since. We're an online database. We also have a publication. I brought one with me, so I'll pass it around in a few minutes. And we offer services to Black-owned businesses to kind of help them gain the confidence and really amplify and elevate them in today's market, connecting them to consumers. We range from lodging to candle makers, crafters, artists, all sorts of things that you guys can use on your travels as well as when you're decorating your homes or hotels, or when you are just sitting at home and wanting something to kind of check out, podcasts and things like that as well. So we do all of that. We are working on a television show right now, and we have a grant program that's starting in the summer. So a lot of cool things.
Awesome. Thank you, Theo. All right, Kristina, tell us what you do.
Hello, I'm Kristina Ashley Williams. I'm the founder and CEO of a show called Unpacking, where we highlight Black and Brown-owned hotels and restaurants, attractions on the international space. And we are also unpacking identity in traveling while Black. Through that, I am also working on a long-term project, which I'm sure you all will love, a hotel called Baldwin and Simone's that we're launching in Atlanta. That's designed specifically for the Black experience. So imagine going in and you actually find some conditioner for your curly hair. Okay. But yeah, I'm super happy to be here because we have such an awesome panel, and I'll pass it over to Jacqui.
Yes, Jacqui, please tell us all the amazing work that you do.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Welcome to Miami. Welcome to my home. I am just so glad all of you are here. I am the chairperson of the historic Hampton House Board of Directors, and I am working on this huge, hairy, big dream for the historic Hampton House. And that entails, just using hospitality, using the platform of the historic Hampton House to transform a community. Some of you visited the Hampton House yesterday, and you probably saw some of my little friends walking around, and that's okay for right now. But eventually, we are looking to truly transform that neighborhood and to give those folks who are there an opportunity to be a part of something much, much, much bigger than themselves. So that's my big, hairy A goal, and that's what the board is working on. And like I said, I'm just glad that all of you are here.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you, thank you. You can clap, you can clap. Go ahead and clap for him. All right, and I'm Damon Lawrence, the CEO of Homage Hospitality, a hotel brand that pays homage to Black culture and history. All right, that's just short and sweet and simple. But the first question that I wanted to know from each one of you, because it's important, what was your inspiration? I'm gonna start with you, Theo, because you just started your business recently. What inspired you to actually start the Modern Green Book?
Selfishly, myself. I went to school for theater, so I've been singing and acting and dancing probably my entire life. And with theater comes travel. So I've toured now twice with a children's theater company as well as a theater company based up in New Hampshire. And when I was on the road, when I tell you guys, it was so hard to find certain things. Hairstylist being one. The picture that was up there, I had a lot more hair than I do now. And being able to find people who are confident and comfortable dealing with that much hair is hard. And also, sometimes you just want to be around people that make you feel comfortable and make you feel welcome in a space. And it's hard sometimes to find it. It's hard sometimes to go into a community when you don't know what you're looking for. And so selfishly myself, and then I guess for the greater good of us as people to find and support Black-owned businesses. I like to tell people that supporting Black-owned is something you can do daily. My toothbrush that I literally brought with me is from a Black-owned company. So it's stuff that you guys can implement into your daily lives, not just in travel, not just in when you're redecorating your homes or redecorating your office spaces. It's something that you can use on a daily basis, and that was pretty much my reasoning behind it. Also, historically, this is an awesome piece of history. No matter how negative it was, and I'll let all my great aunts and uncles tell you that they did not like using it back in the day, but it was something that is near and dear to them because it was something that they had to use, and to bring it into a light that is modern and bring it into a light that connects consumers to these brands that are still around is big, So that's pretty much what it was.
Awesome, thank you for that. Thank you, Kristina, same question. What has inspired you to do what you're doing?
A lot of alignment with what Theo shared, right? Thinking about how often microaggressions occur in my travel experiences. I think there is a cause and effect approach. As I shared, there's two current companies that I'm working on, right? So one, with it being a television show, that show is to highlight what are like these nuanced experiences that won't always be understood in a lived experience outside of a Black experience. If we're capturing these moments of being stopped during security or being assumed to be a sex trafficker because of my identity, or being stopped to go and sit down at a restaurant before I can because they're not sure I'll be able to pay the bill while I am traveling abroad. These are the sorts of stories I want to be able to highlight and share, in addition to the why of like the healing and like how so much motivation comes for travel in addition to the exploration of culture, but also, or in addition to the exploration of culture, there's also a need for restoration, right? There's also a need for being able to like reclaim peace, especially when you're coming from a home country that may be riddled with trauma. Right now, we see that globally $190 billion worth of travel revenue is coming from the Black community alone. Within the United States, 13% of the travel industry comes from the Black community. And this year, 123% of the travel industry is supposed to increase post-pandemic. And Black women are the largest demographic right now in this space, and a lot of it comes from this transition of, or this need for reclaiming health and safety and identity and healing through obviously the last couple of years. We know what just happened with 2020. But also there's a change in demographic. There's a change in revenue stream for this demographic. Black women are the most educated and entrepreneurial demographic within the United States today. And so there's a means that allows people to be able to have the luxury to travel. And so I just want to showcase that experience and like the whys behind why we're choosing to have these experiences. With the hotel, I think there's a really beautiful opportunity to create the next generation of what the Hampton House has been, and like what does that look like now for a generation that is a digital nomad, that is working from anywhere, that's specifically looking for a cultural connection and tie to the place that they're going, for safety, for convenience, right? If you're going to another location and you're not familiar with what the cultural nuance is and like what safety looks like in your body and your identity in that place, knowing you have a reliable location like a Baldwin Simone's, like a Hampton House to go to, even in today's era, is my motivation. I just want to be able to create a place where people feel like, hey, it's home. And when I go there, I'm going to see my family. That's what I got.
Nice. Thank you for that. And Jacqui, you have an amazing story. Started when you were 14 years old. You told that story. All right. But what inspires you?
I haven't told my mother that story yet.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. But what inspires you, okay. Jacqui? What inspires you?
My experience is very different from every person in this audience, except every person in this audience. And I'm really inspired to be here today with all of you, because it's amazing to have such a, to see so many young people really involved in hospitality. But back to your question. The Hampton House was basically about to be demolished. It was a last Green Book hotel remaining in the city of Miami, or in Dade County. At one point in Miami, we had over 5 Green Book hotels and 25 Green Book guest houses. They're all gone, except for the 2 that are in Brownsville. Brownsville was west of where most of the development began in the redevelopment, and the urban removal began in Dade County. So Overtown, which is where most of the hotels were located, they're all gone. This wonderful woman by the name of Enid Pinckney, who's about this tall, she was my guidance counselor when I was in high school, and she decided that the Hampton House would not be demolished, and so all 4'8" of her went and stood in front of that hotel with about 40 other people and said, "You will not tear this down," although it was literally falling in on itself. She demanded that that hotel be, restored, and that we figure out a way to make it happen. So, 15 years later, and a whole lot of battles. I mean, I can't tell you that we all have war stories, but we have some real war stories as it relates to the renovation and restoration of the historic Hampton House. So, but before that, before she rescued the historic Hampton House, she rescued me, because I was about to be expelled from the Dade County Public Schools because I led a demonstration at my high school. 3 of us led a demonstration at my high school against them playing, I have to take a deep breath on this because it's still going on, playing the song Dixie at every pep rally. So she saved me from, not from being expelled from school, so I did get to go to college. And when she asked me to be on the board of the historic Hampton House, I said, how do you say no to someone who basically, helped make the future that you have, that you have right now? So I started on the board and realized that the historic Hampton House was more than just, a museum and cultural center. I worked with this gentleman, he's in the back right here, Curb Gardner, who really helped us understand that hospitality can be a true and a real model for transformation. And so, when you begin to think outside of, what has always been, it truly changes, the way you think. It changes the way you look at the world. And it changed the way I looked at the Hampton House, because I began to recognize that this place is so much more. The fact that Martin Luther King swam in our pool, just take that in for a minute. The fact that Malcolm X, Cassius Clay, Sam Cooke, and the love of my life, Jim Brown, actually sat in a room at the historic Hampton House and thought about what they could do as black men to change the history of this country. The fact that John Lewis held concerts there, two of his conventions there. The fact that Andrew Young thought that it was the best place ever, besides Atlanta. The fact that Josephine Baker shimmied all over the stage, inside and outside stages of the historic Hampton House, you just look at it and you think to yourself, there's so much more here. And there's so much more we have to do here. And so if I don't know how many of you visited yesterday, but you could feel it. You could feel it when you walk the halls. I can almost see Aretha Franklin walking down those floating stairs in our lobby. I can hear Eartha Kitt as she sings in our wonderful supper club. And so that's the long story of it. I could have done a shorter one, I'm sorry, but
No.
That's what inspires me and motivates me.
I want to stay there really quick to talk, because I'm realizing, man, we're cutting down on time so fast, But as you think through the future, because I want everyone to hear what the future plans are for the historic Hampton House, and let's put our Afrofuturistic hat on, and what does that look like moving forward?
I think about the fact that last year we brought in Eric Benet. Well, he's the other love of my life. And Shaka Khan in that wonderful historic place. And both of them came to the historic Hampton House, not because they had to, because back in the day, that was where black people had to go in order for accommodations and to rest and relax. They came because they wanted to. And so for us, it says, this is what we should be doing. Not just, it's what we should be doing. And hospitality as a transformative vehicle is, to me, just absolutely amazing. I was listening to Craig back there, and he said that it takes time, and I understand that. So for a part of what I'm looking at is, how, Dr. Pinckney passed the torch on to me, but it's how to find, the next generation to pass the torch on to, because, I really I want to be able to go to the Hampton House and press the new Hampton House, and press a button that says crush and not know where what the hell floor I'm on. What floor is this? I'm just saying.
Understood, no shade. Kristina, the same question, and really, because you have two things that you're working on, right? That both amazing in their own respect. The future of the show, obviously, what do you want the result to be, right, as people are watching it? And then obviously of your hospitality endeavors, what do you want the result long-term? Afrofuturistic hat on real quick.
Actually, I call myself a social futurist, which to me means I study the trends and signals today to help predict how we design tomorrow. And I want to start with the hotel first. So when I think about what the designs of the future of hospitality look like, in my perspective is highlighting the historical context of where we came from so we understand how we got to where we are today, but also designing for where we're moving in the future. So if we're looking like 10 years from now, well, right now, society's trends and signals are telling us we're working from home, as I mentioned earlier, right? So this whole rise of demographic of digital nomads who are seeking places around the world to live and work and play, but they're also seeking community in these spaces. They're also seeking interactive and experiential components of their travel and technologically forward experience as well. So the smart room designs, the convenience of having apps that can unlock your door and turn your lights on and have your music playing and all of that jazz, right? Creating opportunities where there's shareable moments, right? You know, you go many places and it's like, what are these Instagrammable moments? What are these things that people will want to tell their friends about? Those are the sorts of like core components I definitely envision and having in Baldwin and Simone's. And also recognizing that convenience at a hotel today doesn't just look like having like a conference center, it looks like having a co-working space that feels like WeWork. It looks like having a gym and also having a meditation space, right? Because we're looking at what are the demographics, like what are the needs of our well-being and our humaning today. Okay, so those are some, I know we're short on time, so those are some ideas. When I think about the show, for me, I just want to, in my Black female body, be able to be a representation of other women that look like me and other people that are looking to travel that can see like, wow, this is a possibility for me, one. And two, I know where to go when I want to go to these places, and they've been verified, that part. Because it is very real, this concept of like checking to see if it is safe for you to go because you are a Black person. Like checking to see what the cultural dynamics are in a certain location is a lot different than just like, oh, I just want to go there, right, for my own like enjoyment. Is it safe for me to enjoy is also a question. So if I can help inspire next generation to continue on the travel path, that's definitely what I want to do, and I will pass it over to Theo.
Theo, man, you got your work cut out for you, all these businesses. It's a lot of businesses, but it's fun work, right?
Yeah, it has been.
Parliament.
I mean, it's literally changed the course of my life,
right,
essentially. I'm going to go ahead and pass this because y'all are like some readers out here, so I want to make sure y'all have enough time to check it out. But really, I mean, I just want the Modern Green Book to be almost like a one-stop shop for support,
right,
for people to understand that Black-owned businesses and Black establishments and Black nonprofits and Black community organizations are places that anybody can frequent. Not just us, you know, it's not just us that yes, we need to support ourselves, but everybody else outside of us needs to realize that supporting a Black-owned business or a minority-owned business supports the communities that they're in. Right. And that's pretty much the big thing for me. I mean, with the Modern Green Book, I'm all about how can we amplify this business? How can we share your story? How can we tell the world that you exist and that your products are worth their time, or your services are worth their time, or your establishment is worth their going to. And I mean, that to me is essentially what I want to do through the grant program, giving them the money to be able to pay the rent, giving them the money to start. That's a huge thing for Black-owned businesses. We have a very hard time gaining capital. I mean, it's the numbers. You can look up any bank and see how many loans are given out to Black-owned businesses, and it's significantly smaller than majority-owned. So that's really the big thing, is like providing them the money to start, giving them the confidence to go out on social media and know that their content is being viewed in a professional light and a fun and engaging and intentional light. And then with the publication and the digital platform and a database, giving that opportunity to consumers to say, okay, yeah, I know exactly where I'll get my toothbrushes this weekend. Or like, oh, we're traveling to Miami. Like, let's go down and have an educational experience at the Hampton House. But then let's hop over to this new Black-owned restaurant that's just opened and get dinner or lunch from them. Just finding ways to incorporate that into your day-to-day life, into your travel, into just your shopping experience, just your experience as a whole as an individual is really just my main goal. I mean, that's really where I want it to go. So amplifying their stories, amplifying the experiences that people have when they do frequent these locations and stuff is what it's about.
You sound like the modern day Victor Green here.
Right. And if you go to the website, it's so detailed. I mean, obviously I'm from California. I went to my state, and then I went to Oakland, and just to see the different businesses and go from city to city, it really was amazing.
And the website is still a work in progress, so businesses, it's updating weekly, daily, monthly. So while the publication, obviously it kind of encompasses what was listed with us for that year, the database is something that is updated on a regular basis.
Yeah, that thing gonna be thick one day.
Hopefully, I mean, that's the goal.
All right, so I think we have just about 10 more minutes left. Any questions from the audience? Okay. And then back to you. First.
So, first of all, thank you guys all so much for your time and doing amazing things in this world. For the people. Question for those of us who have Black fitness companies. There is a lot of competition as well as copycats where we cultivate our experiences in something that's unique. How does a female-owned Black business in that vein reach out to people like you to continue growing that in other states? Because I see the copycats see the idea and they're able to take it to Miami from New Orleans, or they're able to take it to LA from New Orleans, and the New Orleans owned places. Like, how did they do that?
Are you speaking to building partnerships with different sites?
All of the above.
Okay. I think, so if you're looking for building brand awareness, definitely finding alignment within business structures that have a similar ethos as yours. So that way the cross promotion makes sense, and then you'd likely have to think about what does revenue share look like. If they're hosting or helping to promote or building your brand, there's also opportunities for collaboration with local talent. So if you have your business under your name, it's headquartered in New Orleans, you can reach out to talent from college campuses in the cities you want to expand to, or local business intern programs or what have you, and have people run your programming where you can still be based in New Orleans, but they're using your tools and your strategies to push the brand forward, and then you're able to be present in multiple locations without it being as physically taxing on yourself. But yeah, I just think looking at alignment with strategic partners would be really great to start and to scale quickest, yeah.
And that was a great question, because we're often imitated and hardly ever compensated for that as well.
A word, Brother Damon.
Nah, they need it for virtual. Yeah.
How are you? First off, amazing what every one of you guys have done or doing. I'm very grateful and fortunate. I grew up in a very culture-rich family and very diverse family. My question is, and I learned a lot from you yesterday, from the historic Hampton House, the cultures that aren't the black community and educating them to get to come see the beautiful things you guys are creating. So it is more of an educational platform, because what I learned yesterday was the feeling when you walk through the historic Hampton House was insane, right? And that was from years ago. So I guess the question I have is, like, how are you going to educate the non-demographic than you're used to being around? Are you going to answer it? Yeah, how are you?
I want to do that because I was going to bring this up because as I listened to the panel, I'm Curb Gardner, by the way, Jacqui referenced me earlier, was that one of the things that I think is most important, these institutions and platforms that we're building as people of color, is that to make sure that that institution is not just for the people of color, but it's also
Mine
it's
is
open.
designed for people of color with intention, and I'll respond to that.
But with an openness such that people can come in and understand you and understand your culture, which is why with the historic Hampton House, our purpose is to close the racial divide by understanding. So it is not, it's a place, so we are doing this permanent exhibition, and this permanent exhibition actually is a film that we've got our Hollywood friends involved in. It starts from a little black boy in Miami, and he's raised by his grandmother. He goes to Detroit to get a job because he can't get a job in Miami in the automotive industry. This is in the late 50s. He gets a call from someone years later to say, your grandmother's dying, you have to come home now. He gets his green book, he puts it in his car, and he gets his family, and they go down. His daughter wants to use the restroom in Akron, Ohio, and they can't because they won't let her use it because it's for whites only. So he has a little altercation because in Detroit it wasn't it wasn't like the South. So he leaves his green book on the counter and then has to travel from Akron to Miami, getting great experiences they're taken in by a Jewish family, being almost corralled by the Ku Klux Klan, pulled over by the police. But the reason why it's in virtual reality, because it is an education tool for everybody that sit in the seat and to feel what it feels like. And it's only through people sitting in your shoes that you can understand them better. I mean, I can't do policy for women unless I really, really talk to a woman and she gives me exactly the things that she goes through in this whole Me Too movement. I was with Mallory the other night for Black Lives Matter, and then the woman who did the Me Too movement some time ago. So my point is that from an educational standpoint, to answer your question, we're using tools like that to open it up, because it only works if we're creating a black silo that doesn't, African American silo that doesn't work, to erase it where it doesn't, where race in this country is resolved.
Yeah. Conversation back to the panel. So in my design of my hotel, it's designed for the Black experience. And I design it for the Black experience because our society is designed for the white experience. Does that make sense? So when we think about design, we're thinking about the creation of culture, of architecture, of art. And we're thinking about, like, what does the feeling and the experience look, feel, and share like within a given environment. And so the education that occurs within a specific environment is designed by the culture, right? And so I want to design for the culture that is often not reflected in so many of our spaces. I want to give the audience a prompt. When you're traveling and you're going through your hotel hallways, what does the art typically reflect? Who do you typically see reflected? Does it look like your community? When you go into the bathrooms and you are using shampoos and conditioners, does it work for your hair? When you're using the lotions, does it work for your skin? There are different lived experiences for different identities and different demographics. And so in having intentionality around what is designed and who it is designed for, it is okay to have a specific community that is being designed for. That doesn't mean that other people can't use it. Our whole society is designed for white, heterosexual, cisgendered men. But we all participate passively in society, right? And so when we're thinking about what you were originally asking around, like what does the education look like, there could be intentional design in programming that is saying, hey, here we're sharing historical context. And there also can be intentional design in the experience, which is something I was speaking to. There's also intentional design in curation, which is something that Theo's working on, is here's a list, I'm giving it to you. I'm giving you the resources for you to now educate yourself. So I think there's lots of different ways that the education shows up, and we're all working in different capacities to do so.
Yeah, no, again, that's perfect answer. Going back to the historic Hampton House, like, the first question I asked one of your coworkers was like, how come I can't stay? I get it, it's a museum, and it's really historic, but I would book that hotel in flesh.
I'm glad to hear that, because you're going to get that opportunity.
Let me repeat what he said. He said he would have loved to stay there. He would love for that experience to be brought back. So I just wanted to say that for virtual. Now, Jacqui, respond to that.
I've already responded, which is you will get that opportunity. Because, okay.
Looking at the picture of those gentlemen, but I don't need to mention their names, right? And being able to sit at the stool at the same bar, it was like, damn, you know, like that was a feeling that you can't buy, right? So yeah, again, what all of you guys are doing is amazing, and we need more of it. To me, it's like I'm a seeker. I'm curious. I want to educate myself. Unfortunately, a lot of hotels are very similar. They all have their nuances, but they're all the same thing, right? Trust me, I'm in the hotel space. But again, that was the first thing I asked. I'm like, man, I wish I could have stayed there, all right? But anyway, enough time for me.
Yeah. But you know, that's a part of, and that's one of the reasons that I accepted this opportunity to speak at the, or participate in a panel at the ILC. And it's because I want to connect with, folks who can help us to figure out how we move forward, I've met some really wonderful people just sitting for lunch at a table that I just kind of found, and so I thought to myself, I was thinking to myself, if I could find these three people at this one table, I should have been here all day and all night, moving from place to place, just meeting people. But there are lots of seekers, and that's a part of what we expect, at the historic Hampton House, because, all of we're not all the same. So it's all about us being, the place, the hotel, the experience, because it's going to happen. I can't say that it's going to happen tomorrow. I've already been told it won't happen tomorrow, but it will happen.
Oh, that's great. And to your point, the typical soaps and lotions don't work for me.
Everyone's getting dried out.
We're all traveling with our own soaps and lotions.
So Curtis, I know you have a question. We're going to have to take it offline because we're actually over time now. But I ask everyone in here, these three lovely, beautiful women, I'm the blessed man on the day, because I got these women to be on the panel with. Please talk to them, ask them questions, further questions. They all have tremendous insight. I'm thankful that all of you, I was invited to be the moderator on your panel, and I'm excited to continue the conversations with each one of you further. And I ask all of you to do the same. All right?
We really should have had an after hours, kind of conversation where we just sit at a table and we all just kind of talk to each other.